What's the best way to get out of paying a parking ticket? It might be the 5-minute rule, also known as the grace period. Let's explore this in more depth and see how a ticket issued too promptly might not be enforceable. Parking fines are big business here in the UK, with over 5 million tickets issued last year alone. With a huge amount of money to be made, it's no surprise that cowboy clampers and car park conmen were making headlines for all the wrong reasons about a decade or so ago. Thankfully, since then, the government has stepped in with rules to legislate how car parks are managed. Since its introduction, motorists have successfully avoided paying fines when tickets were issued before a mandatory 10-minute grace period was up. According to the Department of Transport, any parking ticket issued before the grace period has expired is unlawful. So even though people are calling it the 5-minute rule, you actually have double that time to play with. Just think how much extra you could get done. Now, don't misunderstand and think that this grace period could be used as a catch-all for any parking offence. It only applies when you're parked correctly and you actually paid to be in that space. So, no parking across free bays, staying hours too long, or ignoring a payment machine entirely. How the grace period works in practice is that after parking correctly and paying, you then go do your shopping or whatever before returning to your car and leaving the car park, being no more than 10 minutes over the time that you paid for. So if your ticket expires at 1 o'clock, then you would actually have until 10 past 1 to get yourself out the car park. The intent of the legislation is to give you a fair time to be able to get to your car, then leave the car park. So you need to have actually got your car out of the car park by that 10-minute mark. Simply being sat inside your car isn't enough to avoid getting a ticket. So if you did follow all the rules and left within that 10-minute grace period, but you still got sent a ticket, then you should consider appealing against it. Exactly how you appeal will depend upon the type of ticket you received. If you committed a parking offence on public land owned by a local council, then you'll have received a penalty charge notice. However, if the offence was on private land, say a supermarket car park for instance, then you'll have received a parking charge notice instead. Whilst these two may look and sound remarkably similar, they are actually quite different in how they work. With a private parking charge notice, you first need to write an appeal letter to the car park operator outlining why you believe that the fine was unfair. If this is rejected, then you can escalate your appeal to either the IPC or Poplar, depending upon which one the car park operator is linked to. With a council PCN, how you appeal will depend on how you received the fine. If you got a ticket in person, usually stuck on your windscreen, then you'll first need to appeal by writing an informal letter to the council that outlines your grounds for the appeal. If this is rejected, then you can escalate things further with a formal appeal. However, if your council PCN arrived in the post, then you won't be able to make the informal appeal and instead you'll have to jump straight to the formal appeal process. Writing an appeal letter may seem daunting, and you may want to speak to a solicitor for expert advice. This could cost far less than you imagine, with there now being many online solicitors who are quick to contact, easy to speak to, and very often far cheaper than meeting in person. For instance, JustAnswer has a trial that allows you to contact a solicitor for just £5. My colleague used their service and he managed to save over £270 on a ticket. There's a link to JustAnswer's trial in the description, and if you use that, you'll also be supporting MoneyNode, so thank you.